What's up, YouTube people? So back again for another video. Today we got a video uploaded by Jubilee. This is Black People Anonymously Answer 7 Burning Questions. Now we did this before, not exactly with the Black people, but we did anonymous questions with, I think it was teenage boys or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We did it, or high school boys or something like that. And we did one of these videos. It was a really great video because it was a lot of honesty, and there was a lot of opinions being shared, and there was a lot of I feel like real feelings and emotions, and people actually expressing themselves in a manner of which they feel like they could express themselves to the ultimate degree without necessarily being judged or ridiculed, you know. And that's hard to come by in modern times because, you know, social media and the kind of message in which it pushes, and how like people who have a certain opinion are now like are demonized for it, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I don't want to delve too much into it. Let's just check it out, see what they got. Maybe they got some really interesting topics. By me being a Black person myself, I'm definitely going to be participating with some of these questions because sometimes they get in there, man. Like the last one, they said some pretty controversial stuff, and it's like, you know what, I dig it. I'm with it. So before we get into it, y'all let me know down below in the comments, how's your day? Hopefully it was pretty good, but if it wasn't, hopefully this makes it just a little bit better. And like the video. Let's go. Mask Off is a social experiment exploring authenticity and anonymity. Anonymity. I can't speak. Anonymity. You know how, whatever. The views expressed in this video are the opinions and experiences of the cast member whose names have been changed for their privacy. Got you. Give me some of that real. Let me know how you feel for real. I need some more water. Oh, that's it. It's like 5 women, ain't it?
People can be afraid to express how they really feel.
Yeah, let's turn this up.
So we brought together 7 strangers, protected their identities, and asked them all 7 burning audience questions. What will be revealed when we take the mask off?
Alexis Kennedy, William, Jasmine, Caleb, Maurice, Terrence. Okay, 4 women, 5 men. I mean, I can't do math. Yes. 4 women, 3 men.
The police.
Nah. I know. Dang.
I know
all the men. That's crazy. Hold on.
There are quote unquote good cops.
Hold on. All the men said yeah, F the police. I wonder why is that? Is it because women and more often situations will probably be the ones more inclined to call the police because they need, you know, protection and stuff like that? Or I don't know. That's interesting. All the men. And then again, maybe it's the men. I don't want to judge. You know, let's just see what they say. But nah, I'm not F the police.
There are quote unquote good cops, but if you are working in an entire force with individuals who are essentially mostly racist, and where
mostly is crazy.
The history of it with being the sheriffs of slaves and tracking down slaves using dogs or whatever they're using. It's just wearing that badge. It's just
the police force is mostly racist.
We never feel safe for that reason. So,
dang.
The only reason why I can't fully say that, like he just said, there are some good out there. And personally, having a cousin who is a police officer, but everything else behind
I do
that,
too.
and all of the other people who introduce,
I think he's retired.
The racist and mentality to it. Yeah, no, it's them for sure.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna have everyone join the conversation.
All the women.
I don't really feel anything towards this statement because I haven't had any encounters with police, like, ever.
Why do you have to have a personal experience? Why can't you just look at the damage?
I'm gonna be honest though. I'm gonna just give him, as they're bringing up certain points, I'm gonna give you my opinions because like I'm a Black person. I feel like it'd be weird if I just got their opinions, but me as a Black person not give my opinions or my experiences. So I've had a few interactions with police. I have quite a few, I ain't gonna say quite a few, like a lot, but I've had a few interactions and altercations with the police when I was just by myself, you know what I'm saying? And for the most part, they've actually been pretty okay. Like, I haven't had any bad experience with the police, to be honest. In my personal opinion, in my personal experience, I've never had any necessarily bad interactions with a police officer, you know? So, yeah.
That has been done.
It's like, different because I feel like I feel the weight of my ancestors in certain situations in other areas of my life than I do with the police.
Okay, this is not me taking away from the Black community in general because police are always targeting us, but I find it interesting that only the Black men had agreed with that.
That's what I was saying.
I'm like on the fence with it because I know that there are black cops out there that are truly trying to protect and serve, and I really don't know what I would do if we completely destroyed the police system. I would be scared because it's like, okay, well, I don't believe that is the solution. But yes, black men have that main encounter with the police, and sometimes it's annoying because it's like, okay, is this the only cause that y'all care about? Is police brutality? But yeah, it's halfway with me.
I think feelings do become more intense though once you have an experience.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So like, you know, seeing situations where my dad got pulled over, got questioned, got harassed for no reason, then to experience my situation down in Texas. I had bought guns for the first time, registered them, followed everything to the T, and then still get pressed up against the side of my car like I did something wrong when I did it the exact way that y'all said I had to do it. That experience right there, my dad's situation started it, and then my situation is what finalized it.
Kind of validated it for you. Okay, gotcha.
Are Asians racist towards you?
Me all right. Eesh, this is interesting because I've only starting to realize, like, I've heard the whole, like, you know, not stereotypical, but like, you know, if you go to Asia or something, they kind of look down upon like having darker skin in the Asian type culture. And then I've always been aware of, like, the Asian guy running the gas station or the store or whatever, or the corner store, and he's like, hey, buy and go home or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's trying to get the black guy out of there. But me personally, I don't ever think I've had like a racist necessarily interaction or racist or prejudice, harassment or feeling from an Asian guy or anything like that. Me personally, not that I can think of. And there may have been, and I've interacted with quite a few Asian people, you know what I'm saying, via school and work, you know what I'm saying? There may be some instances, and I'm just not aware of, but none that I can think of consciously. Alexis and
I have a neighbor who is very privileged. She's married to a white man. She's Asian, and I feel like that comes a lot nowadays in America. I feel like Asian women are trying to be the white woman of America, and they're not realizing that they're also in marginalized communities just as we are.
Especially Asians that are born into American culture. It seems like they're just pretty much white, and they don't have any...
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. I've seen quite a few, especially Asian women, especially older Asian women. They do act kind of whitish in a way. It's like, it's a certain type of way they carry themselves. Older Asian women, it's a certain way they carry themselves, and it's like, it is pretty whitish, you know. It's like I don't know how to describe it really. It's like if you were to hear them and see how they somehow were able to remove like certain features they have and just see how they move and act and interact, it's like you would think they're white, you know.
For other minorities.
So I kind of see what she was talking
interactions with like Asian people or like other people because I'm black and because colorism is a thing. But I've also had like positive interactions, so I feel like
I've had plenty of good interactions.
Very generalized term.
I know it happens, of course, but me personally, I have not experienced racism from the Asian community. I do totally agree with the idea of colorism because it does seem like the darker you are, the quote uglier you are in any ethnicity, which does suck.
I think the American influence is big. And that's on anybody that comes, no matter where you come from, what background. When you get to America, you spend a couple years here, you start to see how things are done, whether they're right or wrong. You see how things are done, how black people are treated, how white people are treated. So a little bit after I left the military, I spent a couple years in Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and South Korea. These places were places where I was accepted more so than back home. It was shocking to me to not be followed around in stores in South Korea. It was shocking to me to not be treated or even looked at.
I heard Thailand, they actually like y'all. I heard Thailand, I say y'all, but I heard in black people in Thailand.
Outside my race.
Me personally, I more or less, yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, okay. This is interesting because I've always had this type of discussion with my family about this kind of stuff, and you know, they're aware that I express that I'm also interested in women who are not black, and not saying I'm not interested in women who are black. I'm interested in all women, you know, regardless of race. But you know, this is an interesting topic. So But yeah, me personally, I mean, like I like them all. I like them all. I do. I like them all. Each one's women are women, man. It's like they're attractive. They're attractive. That's just me.
In my past dating history, I feel like, I tasted the rainbow pretty much. Like, I've dated East Asian men, I've dated Hispanic men. It's different. Like, you're never going to find somebody outside of your race that's going to 100% understand you, understand your struggle, understand your family, why you do things the way that you do. When I'm dating them, I know it's going to be different. And I feel that's kind of like why I'm entertaining the fact of even doing that.
2 guys, 1 girl.
I don't think that I would necessarily date a white person. I just feel like there's a disconnect. But as long as, like, they're willing to, like, have those conversations with me and understand, like, my blackness, I want to have those conversations with them, and I don't mind what their race is.
Okay.
I think for me, it's just all about my comfort level with you and how much I can relate. And like he said, I think a white woman would be like at the bottom of the totem pole, just because we don't have that much to connect on. But I'm not.
I mean, I think it's a bit of environment, like nature versus nurture, that type thing. Because when they say things like they don't have that much to connect on, I think about, well, what about, the guys, the guy who, like, what I'm saying, goes to, like, is in the suburbs or something. He lives in the suburbs in the fairly white communities, like probably the one or second black kid in the little community or neighborhood or whatever. And he goes to a predominantly white school or whatever. And so most of the women and people he's interacting with for most of his life, or forget chunk of his early life, have been white people, you know what I'm saying? So he's probably going to have the white girlfriend in the high school, take her to prom, whatever, so on, etc. So it's like, and they're probably, quite honest, if they grow up like in the same type of environment with the same type of people and same similar type of mindset, they probably want to have quite a bit in common to some degree, because he's going to be like them, or you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I get it when he says like, that's a common point people bring up, is like having relatability and like, oh, what do we want to talk about? You're black and I'm white. Like our lives and our experiences are completely different, which is right to a degree, but it's also like, well, even if like that's the case, like you could meet you could be a black guy raised in a suburban area, whatever, like black girls or whatever, but you go meet a black girl and she's raised in a completely different environment from you. She's like, her morals and values or whatever, completely different from yours. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? You can still have that type of experience to where you guys basically are like the opposite of each other, regardless of race or regardless of skin color. It's upbringing and environment, you know what I'm saying? So I see what he's saying. When he brings up that point, though, that's a common point I see a lot of people, black people in particular, bring up.
Not opposed to it. I would just kind of rather work with something that I know there's a lot of compatibility there.
At Harbor Freight.
And this is not me saying like I'm suburban or nothing. I've been mainly like, you know what I'm saying, like a bit of a mix, you know what I'm saying.
Real mates.
Man, YouTube needs ass, bro.
I'm not opposed to dating outside my race, but in terms of marriage, I would love to marry a black man.
Okay.
Think about our ancestors. Like, they're probably turning in our grave. They're grave. Like, they're like, what are you doing? Like, we've done so much, and you want to be with this white person or this non-black person?
I've never dated outside of my race, but maybe I should, because a lot of black men tend to go to non-black women.
Okay, look, here's the thing, Shawty. Listen, because I see this point brought up, too, quite often. You know what I'm saying? It's really not. If you look at the numbers, black people make up like what, 13% of America, according to these are not the latest numbers. These are ones used, I think, since like 2015, 2016. So they may be a little bit skewed now, but for the most part, black people make up around like 13% of America, right? The United States. Of those black, it's like most people within the same race marry and date within the people of the same race for the most part. There is a little disparity. So it's like, but there is a little disparity between, like, black people marrying people outside the race more than black men marrying people outside the race more than black women marrying outside the race. You know what I'm saying? With black men, I think it's like, for the most part, it's like 80%. Like 80% they marry each other, whatever. But there is like I think it's slightly higher on the black male side when it comes to black men who marry outside the race. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like from what I gather, it's not like a really large disparity. It's like a couple digits. Like, I don't think it's like by tens and tens and tens. I think it's like maybe 6-7%, something like 8%. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like a huge number. You know what I'm saying? So when they say that, they make it seem like it's a big deal. I think more often than not, what they're referring to is the big guys who make it like really huge or celebrity type status, and then they go for a white girl, and it's like, what? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what? It's like, you're so big, you're doing well, you got all this attention on you, then you go for a white gal. You know what I'm saying? It's like those are the type of people they're thinking of, because like I said, on average, most black people interact and date and marry other black people. So
yes, and because they're easier. And because they have...
Whoa, she just said what?
Like, what are you doing? Like, we've done so much, and you want to be with
she said they're
white
easier?
person or this non-black person?
I've never dated outside of my race, but maybe I should, because a lot of black men tend to go to non-black women.
They can control them.
Control?
Yes, and because they're easier.
Easier?
Because they
Wow.
have European features, softer
European
hair.
features?
They like
Wow.
the Kim Kardashian looking
Kim
woman.
Wow. Okay, so that's crazy. I feel like a lot of black women actually agree with that though. So I can't even be mad at Shawty for saying that, because I feel like that's how a lot of people feel. That's crazy, you know.
And, you know, you want the black woman aesthetic, but you need the European features. So maybe I should date outside of my race, but I personally, like you said, I want to build with the black man. I want to have black children. That's what I want to do. But with this generation of black men, I don't know if it's possible.
Having sex with a white man, it's the master aspect. It's the buck breaking history. If you know what buck breaking is.
I never heard of this. The alleged act of publicly punishing a male slave, typically by first flogging him and subsequently sexually assaulting or raping him in front of other slaves in order to humiliate him. Ugh, that's like the scene in Pulp Fiction, dude.
It's all of that combined, and then the idea of most times, even in heterosexual relationships, it's usually a fetish for the individual to be with you. It's either because you have a nice body, or your skin is so dark and lovely, or because you have, you know, that tool that they want. You know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, in general, it's always something on your body that they want. And if it's genuinely true love, that can happen. But for the most part, I just think interracial dating is disgusting.
Wow. I mean, look, be honest with it. Be honest. Because you know what? I'm not even gonna lie. I've known people. I'm friends with people who feel similar, and black people like that who feel similar. So with that being said, I can't be mad at bro. It's like, you know, that's your opinion. Like, I totally understand and get where he's coming from, and I wouldn't argue with him about it for sure, unless, like, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't argue about it.
I felt oppressed by my own community.
Oppressed? Nah, not necessarily, but sometimes I feel disappointed in them, because I feel like they expect certain things from me that aren't necessarily aligned with the right morals and values we should have as a community. You know what I'm saying? And maybe they'll delve into it before I expound upon it. Let's see.
I actually
sometimes
feel very uncomfortable in spaces full of black people. If you're
That's
not
crazy.
desirable as a black woman, if you're not desirable to men, then you tend to get overlooked. I have to work my ass off for things that I want. Black men, cis hetero black men specifically, they oppress all of us, and it sucks because
cis hetero black men oppress all of us. When she meant as in like black people in the community. I'm a cis hetero black man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to think. Do I feel like I'm oppressing anyone, or have I seen examples? Or I gotta see where Shawty's going with this, because it's an interesting idea right there.
That I want. Black men, cis hetero black men specifically, they oppress all of us, and it sucks because I want to be with a black man, but it's like I have to try to appeal to my oppressor.
I'm gay, and I'm also black. So within the black community, I feel like, again, when we go to these protests, when we go out to these clubs or parties, and I'm in heterosexual spaces, I feel like, oh, it's yeah, he's black, but like he's gay, so we can't really mess with him. Like he can't really be in our space. And it's like, how is this your space that you claimed over a sexuality and a sexual preference, essentially, rather than us being the same race?
Yeah, of course. Like you were saying, like if you're in the LGBTQ community, it's intersectionality. So, people are more cool with me if I'm passing and they see me as like a cis black guy versus if they know I'm trans.
In terms of my experience, I feel like maybe black people were gatekeeping opportunities or like trying to be super stingy or trying to be the token black person and not really. They kind of like bully other black people to make them be like, you don't deserve to be in my space. Like, this is my zone. This is the area that I'm working in. And it's kind of like they're trying to keep other black people from being successful. Like, I feel like I've seen that a lot. And I feel like that's happened to me before, too.
Okay. Interesting.
When I was living in Mississippi, I was around predominantly black people. I didn't feel any different. But now that I'm back here in California and I'm around, other races, like, well, I can see why this could be considered colorist, or I can see how in this situation maybe I'm feeling, like I'm not as worthy as these other people. But I just couldn't use the word oppressed.
I want to see these people's faces.
How my experiences have went.
Okay.
Have you ever wished you weren't black?
Not seriously, no. I mean, because, nah. Not seriously. Like, there's a point in time, I think about it in a joking way, and, like, if I were white, I'd do this, or if I were white, I bet you I could be able to do this, but, like, never really, because it's, like, we all kind of sent here with a certain bit of, like, tools, you know what I'm saying, and it's, like, you can either, I don't know how they say this, you can make the best of your tools and build up the best foundations for yourself, or the best wall or whatever for yourself, or you could just sit around and fiddle with it and do nothing, you know what I'm saying? It's like whether you're white, black, tall, skinny, short, fat, you know what I'm saying? You got to work on you to be the best version of yourself, you know what I'm saying? And you can't go around wishing something you can't be, you know what I'm saying? So it's like if you're a tall guy, you're a short guy, wishing you're tall, stop it, bro. Waste of time. You're black, wishing you're white, stop it, waste of time. Can't go back on, you can't change certain things, you know what I'm saying? So you just got to learn to overcome them or be better in certain areas, be the best version of that thing, you know?
Like, I want to say, record straight, I love myself now. Like, I love being a black woman.
Good.
But, like, for so long, because of also family members feeding into the whole idea of, like, oh, you're so pretty because you're lighter. For so long, as a child, I associated being black as being something that was a bad thing because I saw how people that were darker than me were treated, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to be this anymore. Dang. But, I mean, with a lot of love and compassion and hardcore teaching, I was like, being black is honestly the best thing ever.
Good for you, shawty.
We lit. I just feel like we're lit, and I get where that comes from. That's a part of colorism, and that happens a lot in our community. And I just feel like if we all just accepted our
I want to see a version of this video about white people. I'm still watching, although I can't
Like when I
answer.
was younger, I moved to like a town that was like predominantly like white and Hispanic. I never felt like specifically like, oh, I wish I wasn't black, but I did like look at other people and say, I wish I had hair like them. I wish I looked more like them.
Like, I love being the race that I am, but having 4C hair and having
it's a lot,
darker
you know what I'm
knuckles,
saying?
darker kneecaps, especially in elementary school and middle school, getting through that was really hard. Now, at this age, I'm learning to accept all parts of me, but I still battle with it, like, every day.
There were times where I maybe wish that I wasn't Black American, that maybe I wish I was an African woman or Brazilian, because I feel like Black Americans, like, we kind of were disconnected from our African roots and our heritage.
I get that.
That part kind of hurts because it's like we don't really have much to call our own besides like Ebonics or AAVE, but Black American culture has ultimately set the tone for a lot of modern day pop culture too, so I'm proud of that part as well.
True.
I would raise my kids differently than my parents raised me.
Just a little bit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't do too much differently though, for real, because it's just modern times are changing, so it's like, I would try to instill in them a lot of the core values and things I believe. I'm pretty traditional and old-fashioned in a sense, so like I try to instill those different type of morals and values and stuff within my kids. You know what I'm saying? Give them the best potential outlook. You know what I'm saying? 2-parent household. You know, very instrumental and engaged in their lives outside of school and what it is they want to do and how to interact with people and so on, etc. You know.
If you haven't had an experience with whether sexual abuse or some type of violence in your home, you are lucky in the Black community because it happens to so many of us. And I feel like
I guess I'm lucky. I'm not gonna lie. I guess I'm lucky. I haven't had that essay or abuse of any kind or necessarily violence or domestic, nothing like that. You know, so I guess I'm lucky in that sense. You know what I'm saying? Thank be to God.
With me experiencing that growing up, I would never beat my child. I don't want to have to feel like beating my child is the resource.
Oh, he's talking about whoopings.
Like,
oh.
Respecting me.
I ain't gonna. Okay, well, here's the thing. Look, man. I feel like you do sometimes. You gotta. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes. Is that toxic? Is it wrong for me to think that? Am I using the Bible as justification for why I feel like doing this is what I should be doing as a parent? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'd be less hesitant to do it, me personally, but it's like, I agree to some degree though that like you do need to like, punishment needs to be a thing sometimes. You need to rear the children because if you don't, they're going to be uncontrollably wild and you know what I'm saying? Hey, look, it's just going to be a lot to deal with.
I want them to know about mental health and take their mental health actually like serious because we don't take it serious in the Black community at all.
I love that you mentioned that specifically about mental health because it's something you can't talk about.
It is quite overlooked.
Sometimes it's like, well, what's wrong with you? Like, are you crazy? I'm gonna whoop your tail. Like, you shouldn't be acting this way. I give you everything. You have no reason to be depressed. I don't want to reciprocate that onto my children, and I don't want them to feel like if they're feeling depressed, if they're feeling overwhelmed, I don't want them to think they can't come to me and talk about it. My parents, they didn't have that opportunity to communicate with their parents because they were raised in a completely different generation. So now, like, I see my mom was, raising me this way because that's what she's used to, but I'm going to cut it off with my line.
Okay.
Well, our kids are probably going to be like, I ain't doing that. When I have my kids, like, each generation gets wiser and they learn something else or have resources to something else. So I just want to always highlight the good things that my parents did. I've already acknowledged them and addressed the bad things with them, but now I can forgive and let it go and just highlight what they did do right and kind of mix that with my own.
I want to see these people's faces.
I can't be honest about who I am.
I don't know what exactly I meant by this.
In a white space, I'm like constantly.
I feel like I can be honest. In the sense of like, I've always been the type of person to be like, I'm gonna tell you how I feel. If I'm like really talking about something, I'm gonna tell you how I feel, and it is what it is. You like it or you don't. I'm gonna give you my opinion. You like it or you don't. I'm gonna act how I act. You like it or you don't. I like what I like. You like it or you don't. That's just how I am. You know what I'm saying?
Like, how am I coming off? But a lot of times for me, it's like, in terms of being trans, also like, how am I walking? How am I talking? How am I?
Now that's a whole different, what I'm saying, experience.
At me or looking at me like they're comfortable with me, and it's just pretty tiring sometimes when I'm around other people and I'm constantly checking myself.
Since we're in the age of like cancel culture, it's just really easy. I feel like even if you want to be honest, it's like sometimes you can because you have like a fear of getting canceled or fear of people like lashing out on you. And I feel like in certain senses like that, I can't be completely honest in terms of like my views on certain things just because of like how people are going to react.
Mm-hmm. I hear what she's saying.
It takes a lot for a person to be themselves and fully own their identity, no matter who you are or what you are. So living in that, I've learned to own that, and I'm always blunt. I'm always me. What you see is what you get. If you got a problem, you can leave.
Hey.
So yeah.
It's exhausting to try to defend yourself all the time about who you are, but at the end of the day, I sleep better at night knowing that I'm just me.
You're unapologetically you. Right. I was about to say, we're going to see them, they're going to walk out or whatever. Oh, okay. Man, I want to see these faces, man. You know what I'm saying? big boy. I like these videos, man. I like these videos, Jubilee. Keep them coming, man. I like this. I do. I really like this a lot. I like these questions and, you know, having some of these, you know, conversations a bit that's not generally held sometimes in the public media. You know what I'm saying? Certain questions and things that may be controversial. I like this stuff, man. Jubilee. Good video, man. Keep them coming. Anyways, I like people unapologetically being themselves and sharing their opinions. Whether or not I agree is here nor there. But nevertheless, I like the idea of you being honest with yourself and just telling us how you really feel. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, man, y'all let me know down below in the comments what your thoughts on this. If you're black yourself and you had a few questions or experiences or anything about anything I said and you want to give your little 2 cents, whatever, you know what I'm saying, man, leave it down below in the comments. Feel free to do so. I don't mind at all. That being said, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Make sure you go to Jubilee channel. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications when they post. Come back over here and do the same thing. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on YouTube, and also follow me on Instagram at LyricSSO. Saying to the channel. That being said, peace.